Blade Runner 2049 is a direct sequel to the original Blade Runner, and it's kind of the same way that it is created like 30 years after the first one. It's also been like 30 years in this world, and it is such an amazing movie.
You're a cop. I had your job once.
Things were simpler then.
What do you want?
I want to ask you some questions. What happened?
So Blade Runner 2049 was directed by Denis Villeneuve, and he is one of my favorite directors, and especially for the newer directors coming up. Like, there's nothing, I don't think there's really anyone that really comes close to him. He is so masterful. You know, I've watched almost every film of his and loved them, even the ones that aren't as good as some of the others. Like, I think I've only missed like his two earliest really indie foreign language films. Arrival was my favorite film last year, and Blade Runner is probably going to be one of my favorite films this year. And he's just such a masterful director. And I really think that he's growing with each film. And you see a lot of the amazing cinematography and directing and this beautiful like in-camera things he does in Arrival. Like you see similar things in this one. It's almost like a mix, like the camera, all the camera work and the score is almost like a mix between the original Blade Runner and Arrival. And it's incredibly effective. I mean, like, some of the stuff, I don't know how they did it. Because, I mean, like, it looks like it's all in camera, but you know that a lot of it has to be computer graphics. Los Angeles in 2049 is, he really did a lot of interesting things with it, because it's, like, all just, like, smog. Like, you never see a clear sky, and it's always either, like, raining or snowing, and it looks so cool. And it looks, I mean, something, he does these shots that are so expansive. That's what, like, I mean, if you can, watch on the biggest screen around, because it is incredibly expansive and immersive, and even when just there's scenes that just don't really matter, but you just get sucked in just looking at it. It's so beautiful. And, you know, I really like that they, like, have it almost, like 30 years after the last one, or maybe more than that, but, because, you know, our technology really increased in 30 years, and their technology kind of increased and changed, so that even though now, you know, like, when Ridley Scott did it, everything had to be in camera. Like, there's no such thing as computer graphics. Like, you had to use miniatures, or, like, portraits, or, like, you know, there's a lot of tricks to get similar shots of what you can do now with computers. And, like, and they changed the world enough so that, and things happen in the world where it makes sense. It feels like the same world, but it feels like a natural progression from the previous film. And that's what is so impressive with this, because it is a true sequel to the original Blade Runner. I mean, it's really in tone and story. It's a pure sequel. But at the same time, like, if you've never seen Blade Runner and you don't want to watch it, the original one, they give you enough so that you're not lost if you hadn't seen it. Like, personally, I rewatched the final cut the night before, and when you do that, there's even more stuff for you to see that, like, because it connects so well. But even if you've never seen the first one, like, they in parts of the film, they'll show, like, clips from the original Blade Runner. Like, they show, like, audio clips when Ryan Gosling is trying to investigate things. And they do other really tricky things, too, later, which I really don't know how they did some of it. And there's other things, too, with the computer graphics. It's really one of the most impressive films I've ever seen. Like, not in just being, like, looking real and looking like, you know, amazing computer graphics, but being interesting with it, being inventive, doing things that I've never seen. And that's what, you know, the original Blade Runner, like, did things that no one had ever seen before, and everyone tried to copy after it. And this thing, it does things that I've never seen done, and it's really amazing. As a warning, though, if you want to get, like, the most out of this film, like, you can't just watch the movie, but there is a lot of prep work you might want to do just to improve the experience. Because they have, you know, obviously the original Blade Runner, and then you have 3 short films that people did for this. And each short film was really well done, and it kind of like shows important events that lead up to this film. Like there's like there's a big thing. Like there's one version is like a 15-minute anime, and it shows that like a little bit after the first film there is a blackout that pretty much destroyed all the data, and everything is kind of had to go back and recover from that. Then there's another one with an introduction for the new god that's creating new replicants, and they have an introduction to Batista, one this Nova 8 replicant, and that's like it kind of really helps them. They're really well done too. It's just enjoying to watch, even though you don't have to. So except for the film, again, I won't try not to spoil anything. To try not to talk about things, but so it gets a little tricky. But I'll try to avoid any sort of spoiler, any small ones. But Ryan Gosling, he is Blade Runner. He is like the new Blade Runners, and now like has to like hunt for people that the old models, because the new model of replicants are supposed to be better, and they'll like follow the orders of the owner. Like no matter what the order is, they'll follow them. And you know but the old ones, the ones before like the Nexus 8s. Like they had increased the lifespan of the replicants to mimic humans instead of having only 4 years. And when the blackout happened, like there's a lot of them. They're still around and maybe causing trouble. And Ryan Gosling as the new Blade Runner, known as K, like he is really good. Like he plays a little bit of that drive. Like he does that some things where he can be kind of really, kind of blank-faced, but it really serves in this role. It's really well done. I really liked him in this role. And his lieutenant is Robin Wright, and then she's great too. And there's so many things that go on here. It's like they do a lot of interesting stuff with like the background and this world, the lore of the world, and mix it into something new that is just so good. Like I really hope that people go see this, because it is like almost a 2.5, probably over a 2.5 hour movie. Then when you add trailers, it's going to be like almost 3 hours. And it's a hard sci-fi. It's not, and it's for adults. Like it's not an perhaps easy movie for people to watch. I hope that people go out and see it. But it is a really good movie. And I love the quest that Ryan Gosling goes on to try to find some missing replicants and try to solve this mystery that could possibly break the world because of what happens. Like something happens and he has to try to solve it, and he also almost goes on a voyage of self-discovery as well. And there's so many amazing moments, and like it's tough to talk about too much without spoiling it, but everything is just perfect, really. Like I think there's even cool that it shows Denis Villeneuve. I feel like he has such respect for the source material, and also even not just the movie Blade Runner, but also the original Philip K. Dick book, Do Androids Dream of Electronic Sheep, because there are like things that pop up that almost seem like they're a little bit of a play on the original story, even though the actual Blade Runner movie is just like barely even reminiscent of the book. Like they take the ideas from it, but they don't use a lot of what's in the book. But it seems like there's little Easter eggs in within the story, like from the book, which I really loved. With that respect for the original Blade Runner, I love how they tackled some of the questions that may have been left unanswered in the original film. And they tackled like even just the concept of the original film about humanity, and are replicants even possibly more human than human, or what's human? And they add even more onto it, because there's also some other characters which maybe more, instead of just the 4 letters of our DNA, there may also be some characters that just have two symbols, zeros and ones. And they do some really interesting things with that too. And it's just, I don't want to spoil anything, but every character is just done so perfectly. And it's just an amazing movie. Like, it's a long movie, but did not feel long watching it. Like, I had no idea how much time had passed because I was just so engrossed in it. I really think that this movie will deserve a lot of Oscar attention. Especially for best film, best director, best screenplay, best cinematography, best sound direction, sound. There's just so many amazing things in this movie that I really hope they do honor it. Even though sometimes genre films are ignored a little bit, but I hope that it gets the recognition it deserves. And when I first heard about it, I wasn't that excited about a 2049, a sequel to the original Blade Runner, but it didn't really need a sequel. And I worried, that so many times they try to make these universes and have to have like a long series of movies. But the second I heard it was Denis Villeneuve directing it, I was okay with it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait and see what happens. And he does such a great job with this. And, I love, while this is a sequel, and you could possibly do a third movie and maybe more, but it doesn't worry about that. This movie is solely contained. It has a perfect, beginning, middle, and end. It is not trying to say, oh, you have to wait to see what happens to the next film. It's not saying that, oh, we have to make a dozen of these films. It's like they made one film, and hey, if people like it, you can add more onto it. The same way that we did with the original Blade Runner. And, I love that aspect of it. And, I hope that it does well enough that they do make another movie. Maybe not right away, but sometime coming up. And seeing this, that Denis Villeneuve, I think, is really just evolving as a director. And he is just getting better and better. And it makes me so excited for his next project, which is Dune. I think if anyone could do Dune, and I don't know if anyone can do it right, I think he could. And this just shows how great of a director he is. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. This movie is such a great movie. It has a hard sci-fi, so if you love sci-fi, you have to see this. And if you enjoy Blade Runner, you have to see this. But even if you're not generally a fan of these things, there's so many character moments in this film that I think you'd enjoy. There's so many great moments here that the general audience should enjoy, even though some of the concepts and some of the things may be a little more difficult than the average movie. But like I said, I give it a 10 out of 10. I'd say it's definitely moved into the top 10 of my movies of the year. But thanks for watching. You can check out other review playlists around my head, or subscribe to me over here. Thanks.